Today I want to talk with you about everything you need to know about the Corporate Transparency Act. And I realized that I'm a little late with this video because the law went into effect on January 1st of this year, and it is now March 13th of this year. So we're a little behind, and I apologize for that, but I think it's better late than never because this law is at least theoretically going to be around for a while. I say theoretically because a federal court in Alabama just struck down the law last week that affects only the people in Alabama or the plaintiffs for that lawsuit, so it doesn't affect anybody else. So if you're watching this video and you were not a plaintiff in that lawsuit, then it's still important that you follow everything on the Corporate Transparency Act and do the things that you have to do. Bo! I'm never gonna get this video done. I mean, honestly, it's my mistake because I should have started this video hours ago. I didn't because I had to research it because that's what I do because I want to make sure the video is good. If you're watching this video, chances are there's a couple things. Number one, you're an entrepreneur or you own some sort of business, which I guess is the same as being an entrepreneur, right? That's what we do as entrepreneurs, we own businesses. Two, you want to make sure you're legally compliant with all the legal requirements. Now, if you don't care about being legally compliant, then you can just turn the video off right now and go on your merry way because you won't need to worry about this. But if you do care about being legally compliant and not getting fined, then you want to keep watching the video. And number three, you maybe have heard about this thing called the Corporate Transparency Act, but you're just not really sure how it works or whether it's going to apply to you or if it's something you need to worry about. Any of that sounds like you, then you want to watch because I'm going to explain it all to you here today. You ready? Let's do this. Oh, by the way, I kind of forgot. My name is Jim Hart. I run a law firm. It's called the Hart Law Firm, aptly named. I also have a separate law firm. Well, it's not a separate law firm. It's the same law firm, but we have a separate brand called Hawthorn Law, where we help people to protect their trademarks and do things like that. And we work with small businesses to help them get legally protected. So if you're interested in any of that, I've got links down below. You don't care about that. You care about the Corporate Transparency Act and making sure you're legally legit. All right, let's talk about that. Before we get into what the Corporate Transparency Act is, it's important that you understand the penalties for non-compliance. And the penalties for non-compliance are $500 a day fine or be subject to prison time or bigger fines up to $10,000. This is something you want to pay attention to, I think. Yeah, I think so. So let's do that. I'm here to help you as a lawyer. So let's talk about what is the Corporate Transparency Act. It's a mouthful if I don't get it all out anyway. It is a bipartisan law. That means it was passed by both Republicans and Democrats, so regardless of your political leanings, this is a law that was passed by both of them, and I presume since it was passed in 2021, signed into law by Joseph Biden. And the point of it is to curb illicit financial transactions. So basically Congress is trying to prevent people from bringing money into this country illegally. They're trying to curb terrorism. They're trying to prevent all sorts of illicit things that happen when people transfer money around in shell corporations and we don't know who really owns those corporations. So that's what the purpose of this law is basically to provide some transparency about who owns the businesses in this country. That's the first thing you need to understand. The second thing you need to understand is that FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit, started accepting applications to provide this beneficial information on January 1st of this year. So they're already taking information. I filed several for clients. That is something we help clients with when we do their LLC. I've done it. I have 2 businesses. I filed the reports for my business. So it's a little tricky, but it's not impossible. And today I want to kind of walk you through that. There's a couple deadlines that are really important that you need to understand with this law. If you had an LLC in place prior to January 1st of this year, or I should say an LLC, a corporation, anything that you filed with the state to register a separate entity, and we're going to talk about what that means here in a second, then the deadline for you to comply with the Corporate Transparency Act is the end of this year. It's January 1st, 2024. That's the first thing you need to know. Now, if you formed an LLC this year, so if your LLC was effective on January 1st of 2024 or later, then you have 90 days to comply with the rules, which is providing that beneficial ownership information to FinCEN. If you form an LLC in next year, so in 2025, then the period that you have to file that information drops down to 30 days. So right now, if you had an LLC before this year, or a corporation, then you have until the end of the year. If you filed your corporation in 2024, you've got 90 days. And if you filed your corporation, or if you're gonna file a corporation or an LLC for next year, then you've got 30 days. All right, first thing you need to know. I realize, let me take a quick break here. I'm obviously no longer in Portugal. We moved back to the United States here several months ago, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't posted a lot of videos, but it doesn't stop neighbors from being loud. So I can hear, there's a guy outside that's always yelling at people. I don't know who he yells at, but he yells at people. It's almost like I'm in Portugal again, and he's doing that right now. So anyway, this law applies to what are called reporting companies. And what is a reporting company? Well, it's basically an entity that is created by filing something with a state where your company is located. So this could be an LLC, it could be a corporation, it could be some other type of business entity, a limited liability partnership, or something where you file something with the state to form a separate entity. So the question I get from people is, well, does it apply to my sole proprietorship if I filed a DBA? And the answer to that is no, because the DBA is not a separate legal entity. And the same would be true if you had to file, if you were a sole proprietor and you wanted to get an EIN number for the IRS for your sole proprietorship. Again, no, that does not make you a separate business entity, so you do not have to file. Finally, if you require a professional or occupational license for your business, then that also does not change the fact that you might be a sole proprietorship, so you do not have to comply with this law. If you are a domestic LLC or corporation that has filed paperwork here in a state to become a separate entity, or if you're a foreign business that had to file something here in the United States to become a separate entity, then this does apply to you. You're considered what's called a reporting company. Who has to report under this law? Well, under this law, if you are a beneficial owner that owns 25% or more of a stake in the company, or you have substantial control of the business, then you will have to file as a beneficial owner of the business. So for example, for me, for most of my businesses, I own 100% of the shares in the case of my law firm and the membership interest in the case of my digital media company, which means that I have to file as a beneficial owner of those businesses. I'm both the controlling person and I own more than 25% of the stake in those companies. If you owned like 15% of the stake in a company and you didn't have any control, and you just, you gave some money to, a friend or a son or daughter or something like that to invest in their business, and you have 15% of the stake, but you're not doing anything to control the business, then you're not considered a beneficial owner. But conversely, if you have 0 shares in the company, you don't own anything related to the company, but you're hired as maybe a chief operating officer or president of the company or something like that, then you could be considered a beneficial owner because you have substantial control. So hopefully that makes sense. What do you have to do? Well, you have to file a report with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit. I'll put a link down below to the webpage you need to go to for that. And basically you're going to need to give them the name of the company, the business address of the company, the state where you're registered, and then for purposes of the beneficial ownership, you have to provide the name of the beneficial owner, their date of birth, their address, their residential address, and you have to provide an identifying document. This could be a US passport, it could be a foreign passport, I guess, it could be a driver's license, it could be a state identification, something like that that shows them who you actually are. The other thing you need to be aware of is there's also what's called a company applicant, and so you're going to need to provide information for the company applicant, and the company applicant is the individual that actually files the paperwork for your LLC or your corporation if it's articles of incorporation. And that could be you if you did it on your own. It could be your lawyer. So when I do this for clients, I am the company applicant for my clients. It could be somebody else. And so you need to be aware that you have to provide the name of the company applicant as well. Only other thing you really need to know about the Corporate Transparency Act is that you need to update this information. So it's not just a set it and forget it type of thing. You have to update the information. So if you file your paperwork this year and then you move, or you move your business to another state, or you change the name of your business, or you file a new DBA, or you change the address of your business, or you get a new driver's license, or anything like that happens, then you have to file updated information with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit to let them know what's going on. And you have to do that within 30 days of any potential change. I know some of you are watching and wanting me to do this. I still have a little bit of coffee left from this morning, so I'm not adverse to cold coffee. Some of you may be like, my wife is like, cold coffee, that's disgusting. I don't feel that way. I think coffee is good anytime. So I've still got my little Portuguese mug. Hold on, you can see that. There you go. All right, it's a little cold. It's a little cold. It's maybe too late for this today. I'm sorry about that. All right, so that's what I got to share with you about the Corporate Transparency Act. If you'd like to learn more about this, I'm probably gonna be doing another video here that I'll link to that's gonna talk more about this recent federal court decision that struck down the act, at least temporarily, and give some updates on what might be happening with that, because that's something that you're gonna wanna know about. And that's what I got for you. So have a great day, folks, and we will talk soon. Take care, bye-bye.